So for this episode, Lori and I are going to ask each other a set of questions. We'll just go back and forth and have a dialogue. And so you can learn how we have handled our family dynamic together. And if you have any comments, just please comment or question, and we'll try to get back to you as soon as we can. Okay, so I'll ask you, and then you can ask me. Number one, what was your concern as a single mother with three boys on remarriage and bringing another man into the family, father figure or whatever, another man? What was your number one concern?
Um, I would say my biggest concern, I guess, was just us being able to mesh and get along as a family. Honestly, thinking back, I think I was pretty naive in thinking that, oh, we're just gonna get married, and everything's gonna be great, and we're just gonna be a family, and there's not gonna be any problems. And even though I felt like Joey was gonna be a great dad and a spiritual leader, um, I still think I was comparing him to my ex and like, oh well, that guy's terrible, and so Joey's going to be a lot better. And but the boy, boys, their dad's their dad, and so
Yeah.
that was kind of something that we had to
And that's
adjust to.
that's one thing that we both agreed on is we're never going to talk bad about their dad,
Hmm.
and I'm not going to talk bad about my ex, and we kept that away from them.
Hmm.
Um, so that was something that we just had to work on to make sure we didn't talk negative about our exes and their dad in front of them. Okay.
I think that's it for that one. I was just My main concern before we got married was that my boys were going to grow up without a dad. That was my biggest concern. So when Joey came along, it was kind of a blessing. It was a blessing that now they were going to be able to have somebody to help me show them what a man should be, and all that stuff. So
All right.
all right, so my question is, what were some of your expectations about being a stepdad going into our marriage, and did they change over time?
Well, I expected them to, look. I should have read this. Another one, Smart Stepdad. I had that book and I read like 2 chapters and I'm like, I don't need that. I got it. I got it. I'm going to be super dad. They're going to love me. We're going to have fun. We're going to go on vacations and we're going to just play basketball and sports. And it's going to be great. They're just going to just jump all over me and they're great, 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 great. I'm not saying it was wrong, that far off. They did love me and they were excited, but they didn't want me being their dad at first. They liked me as Joey, but as the dad telling them what to do and what they can't do, it took a while. And that was kind of tough for me because I didn't when they first started saying no. I'm like, whoa, okay, I got to get used to this. But it changed. Now the oldest boy, he's 25. He's got a wife and kids of his own, and we have a great relationship. We talk to each other, and we never had a lot of problems. But over time, it got better. And the other boy, he's 19. The second boy, he's 19, and we gave him one of our cars, and he took over payments. So him and I have a great relationship. And the youngest boy is 16, and he's strong-willed. He's strong-willed, and I do the best I can, but we do good. We've gotten better, but we have had some struggles with him, and I didn't expect any of that.
Yeah.
But we manage the best we can.
Yeah.
Okay, let me ask you another question. Uh, how did you feel about our marriage and having me as a stepfather for your three boys? So we just got married. How did you feel about that?
Well, kind of goes into the last question. I was happy that I had somebody I knew that would be a spiritual leader, and somebody that I knew would be a good father to the boys, and somebody that I knew would um, teach them how to be men and show them how to do things. And um, you you were talking about the youngest one. He's probably the one out of all three that likes to work on stuff with you,
Yeah,
build stuff, and
good
work on the
helper,
cars,
great
and
helper.
and that's been a bonding experience for y'all.
Yeah,
And he's even when he was younger, Joey redid the flooring of the house, and
Mm-hmm.
he helped him with that. And so,
And
and you've
yeah.
kind of had your own connection with each boy in a
Right.
different way,
Mm-hmm.
but you've done that. And so, um, I guess that was my biggest thing, was just you being able to show them how to be men and do life. And
Yeah.
I wanted somebody that could do that. And so I was excited about that.
All right.
All right. So, did you have any worries or concerns about being a stepdad?
Nope. I had no worries. Coming into this, I had no worries. I thought it's going to be easy. I got it. I'm going to be super dad. We're just going to bond. It's going to be great. Now I look back and I'm going, boy, I was naive. Very naive. And these are the things, like I said, these books, Smart Stepdad or Smart Stepmom. Wish I'd read that a little more. And then I want to say, okay, I was way overconfident, way overconfident. And looking back, I'm thinking, okay, I was not prepared. So I had to adjust. I would adjust, and I'm doing good, and I'm doing bad. And it's a roller coaster. I'm doing good, and I'm doing bad. But I did not think it was. I was excited. Yeah, I'm going to be a dad. But it's been worth it, and we have gotten better. And as a matter of fact, we're going to adopt our youngest boy. I'm going to adopt the youngest boy, and maybe we'll talk about that some other day.
Yeah.
But so that's where we're at now. We're at the youngest boy, hard headed. We didn't get along for a while. Now I'm adopting him. As
Hmm.
I'm gonna be his official dad, and he's okay with that. He wants that. So wow, what a big turnaround. Okay, so now number 3 for you. What are some struggles you have had as a mother of 3 boys in our blended family? Your struggles.
I would say my biggest struggle has been whenever there's conflict. It's hard 'cause I always feel like I'm stuck in the middle.
Mm,
Um, because I, being the biological mother, I always felt like I needed to be on the boy's side. But then, he would be upset with me. But then if I felt like if I took his side, then the boys would be upset with me. So I felt like no matter what I did, I was no somebody's gonna be mad at me, and I was not gonna come out the winner per
mhm,
se.
mhm.
And there was no gonna be any situation where I'm gonna come out feeling good about it. So that was probably my biggest struggle with,
And,
and that was before I reread the book.
and when we read the book, these books, and several of the books say the same thing. So let's say even if I had kids, so with her boys, what we learned is she should be the disciplinarian, and I should take a back row. And say if I had kids, I'd be the disciplinarian, and she'd take the back row. So imagine, I mean, and you may be one of those situations where your husband has kids and the wife has kids, and you're trying to deal with it. It's just crazy and chaotic. So deal with your kid, discipline your kids, and but support the other spouse. If the other spouse had to make a decision over the kids, support them, and that's something we've been learning. Okay. What else?
Um,
Other struggle.
that's the one that really comes to mind, is that one. I think another struggle may have been, how do I word this? Like, I know you love the boys, and you know, I wanted them to love you, but their dad is their dad,
Hmm.
and so it's kind of hard. Maybe accepting both. I don't know how to word that, but it's like I wanted them to love you
But you didn't
the
want to. You
way,
didn't want to treat him as a negative.
yeah, and I didn't want them to.
Push him
I've
them away
always
from
told
him.
the boys, I want you to have
Yeah.
a good
Yeah. Yeah.
relationship with your real dad,
Mhm.
but I always, I want you to love Joey too. So that was kind of hard.
Right.
That's the big two that I can think of. So what have been some of your biggest struggles being a stepdad?
Well, the biggest struggle for me is I'm trying to be their dad, and they like that. It's great. It's great. It's great. And then when I said, "Hey, clean your room," and okay, that didn't go well, or help do something, and they say no, or um, I try to discipline them, and they just like, shh. nope, not listening to you. And I'm like, oh, but I've learned 13 years. It took me 13 years to really learn it. And it's like it's a roller coaster. It's a roller coaster. And there's times when they would kind of go to her and talk about things, and I was kind of kept out of the loop. And they didn't do it on purpose. They didn't do it on purpose. And I've learned in these books that that's not always a bad thing. You know, you shouldn't keep secrets from the other spouse. But what I've learned in here is like if I had kids of my own, with her kids and her boys, and if I had kids, we both need to have time along with our kids. So we still say, you know what? Hey, I love her kids too, but I still love you too. And that kind of happened with them, and sometimes I just didn't recognize it. And so, uh, just sometimes the resistance, and um, they didn't come out and say it. You're not my dad, but I could tell by their actions sometimes that they were thinking that, and I had to learn how to overcome that. And had we had read these books 13 years ago, that would have helped. So, and that's what we're here for. If you have that same issue, we're here to tell you how we've overcome it and what you can do to help to overcome that. Okay, so that's my biggest struggle. So, number 4, thinking back to when we first got married, what will you have done differently to have made our blended family relationship better? Here we go. Yep,
Read
exactly.
books.
Read the books. Right. These books are great.
I don't know that he has a book. He has a stepmom book. What he probably needs is a biological mom book.
And he has a
How to
preparing
preparing
the blend.
maybe not. Yeah.
Yep, preparing the blend.
So something like that would have been helpful before we got married. So we would be expecting some of the problems we didn't expect, and it's kind of like we always say, we didn't know what we didn't know,
Right.
and
We didn't know.
we might have known if we'd have read those books. We might have known, oh, this might be something that comes up, and if it does come up, we'll know how to deal with it. And so that's what I would say. Better prepare, because I think, like you said, I was just really naive, thinking we were just gonna get married and everything's gonna be great, and there weren't gonna be any problems, and it was just we're just gonna blend and happily ever after. And even though it's been a good marriage, and I think
Yeah.
we generally had a good relationship
Yeah.
as a family. I
Probably
think
better than others.
yeah, probably better than some, but I still think that it could have been better if we'd have been better prepared.
Mhm.
So,
Okay.
so
Back to you.
is there anything you wish you had done differently?
Read these books. I'll not stop at the second chapter of Smart Stepdad. I think just get more educated and not get so discouraged. To know that when they resist me, that's normal. Because in those books it talks about thousands and thousands of these type of families, and the kids do that. I don't think you're going to find a blended family where the stepkids think, "Yep, well, you're just like my dad, and I'm going to treat you just like my dad." It doesn't happen, but I didn't know that. I didn't know that. So to me, I think just be better educated, and it would help me a lot. Okay, last question for you. What advice would you give? Let's say you go back before we got married. Okay, what advice would you give to yourself?
Well, I think it's just like what we've been talking about. Just better educate yourself about what life is going to be like as a step family, so you would anticipate the issues that might come up and be better prepared to deal with them, and maybe not be so offended or hurt, or whatever the feeling is that
Yeah,
you have.
and we had like those feelings. It happened a lot, and I'm thinking I could have gotten over a lot of things that I didn't get over.